My name is Sully, better known as Pius. I can help with surahs, so I can recite.
My name is Suhaila, memorizing surahs, reading the Quran, and practicing the Sunnah.
My name is Mommy, better known as Ummi. Islamic education is key to the family. We tune in every day to learn something new, and Sunnahfollowers is helping us, and it could help you too. Tune in every day for new programming. Stay tuned.
And much more.
Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters. Listen, we are in dire need of donations to keep these shows running and available for you 24/7. So that means when you're in the car, it's available for you to listen to. Whether you're at work, streaming, playing a game, it's available for you to listen to. Rowing your deen and learning about the beautiful, beautiful, beautiful different topics of Islam. Listen. One of the heaviest deeds that could be placed on your scale on the day of judgment is Sadaqah Jariyah. Yes, I know I'm trying to build deeds daily. So you can too. So listen, feel free and please, from the bottom of your heart, donate to this wonderful cause, wonderful website and platform to continually push out shows that will benefit you and the Muslim Ummah. Yes, you can donate by going to the Sunnahfollowers.net website, pressing the Donate tab. You can also scan the QR code in YouTube on the far left top of our videos that are streaming. Listen, guys, this is very important, and take this as important. We want to keep this programming available for you 24/7 so that you have access in your car, anywhere you choose to tune in to this wonderful programming. Yes, guys, it's all at your disposal. So listen, feel free to donate. Once again, remember, Sadaqah Jariyah, one of the heaviest deeds on your scale on the day of judgment. Assalamu alaikum. Tune in every Friday at 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central to the Ask Sister Layla live Q&A with host lailanasheeba, where she tackles current day issues, your questions and concerns. Call in at 862-370-2838. Once again, that's 862-370-2838. See you there.
Join us for a highly anticipated new series, Heroines of Islam, hosted by lailanasheeba. Allow her to take you through time exploring the lives of these powerful, courageous, spiritual pillars of Islam. Learning about their lives through a lens, unique and explained through a woman's point of view using authentic hadith. Tune in every Monday and Wednesday 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central. Right here on Sunnahfollowers.
Another Sunnahfollowers exclusive, Not One of Us, written by Sheikh Muhammad S. Adli, broken down and brought to you by host lailanasheeba. Join us every Thursday night at 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central, right here on Sunnahfollowers.
Join us for this exciting new series on the Caliphate of Abu Bakr.
Assalamu alaikum. Join us for the new series here at Sunnahfollowers on the book called Termites by Sheikh Muhammad S. Adli, hosted and broken down by lailanasheeba. Please join us every Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central, right here on Sunnahfollowers.
protectors of the Sunnah.
Hey, I got a couple questions for y'all. The first one, who is your Lord? What is your religion? Who is your prophet? Now, I know this sounds crazy, but if you're one of those people that have been trying to get information and you come across this, or even this. All right, take a listen.
Assalamu alaikum. I am Sister Lailanasheeba, the Managing Director and founder of Sunnahfollowers Online Islamic University. As you know, we have classes every day beginning at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we cover everything from Aqidah, which is your belief system, to Seerah, which are the stories of the Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the story of the companions. Please join us every day beginning at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we are broadcasting and streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, DLive, Trovo, and Twitch. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Okay, we're live. Okay, alhamdulillah. You guys can hear me, right? Okay, let me turn.
Yes, we hear you, Layla.
Okay, good. Thanks. Oh, let me set this up. Inna alhamdulillah wa salat wa salamullah wa rasulullah. Welcome to our Aqidah class, guys. And this is the class that of all the things you learn about Islam, this is the one thing that matters. You know, we have to remember that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam told us that anyone who has even a grain of faith in his heart will be removed from the hellfire. That doesn't mean that there'll be Christians and Jews and other religions removed from the hellfire because they say they believe in God. No. As we talked about the Shahada, when we declare La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah, we're declaring not so much that we believe in Allah, but we are declaring that we believe he's the only one worthy of worship. Because these other people that even though they profess to believe in Allah, they don't believe that he's the only one worthy of worship. And this is why they associate partners with him. So that invalidates their belief in Allah. And as the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam taught us, since he's come, since the advent of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Islam replaced everything that came before it. Just like at the advent of the prophethood of the Prophet Muhammad, when Allah sent the Quran down, Allah destroyed the Bible. He destroyed the Torah, the Psalms. All other books were destroyed. Allah tells us that in the Quran, he destroyed all the other books and he replaced it with the Quran. In fact, Allah even goes on to tell us in the Quran that whenever he sends a book down, a new book down, it replaced what came before it. So the Quran replaced the Torah, the Bible, and any other books that came before it. That's why there is no I don't understand why this is a big innovation. That which is another reason why Allah has sent this war upon us whenever we deviate away from true belief. I don't understand why these Muslims are reading Bibles. You know, the Bible hasn't existed in centuries. It was replaced when Allah sent the Quran down. That was it. The Bible was gone. As Allah says in the Quran, whatever good was in that book, whatever is good, what good was in any of the books, I put it in the one in the Quran. You want to know the 10 commandments. You want to know the stories of the prophets. You want to know about the people, you know, of Saba. All that stuff is in the Quran. So I never understood. This is totally against Islam to read a Bible. When the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was approached by Umar, because Umar radiallahu anhu came upon a Torah. Umar knew how to read. And one of the things I taught you guys in our series on the heroines of Islam, most of the Arabs were an illiterate people. Even Aisha radiallahu anha. Aisha couldn't read or write. Salama could. I mean, not Salama, Hafsa. Hafsa could. Not only did Umar know how to read and write, but his children did too. Hafsa knew how to read. Hafsa knew how to write. Aisha didn't, but Aisha had that photographic memory. So anyway, when Umar came upon the Torah, he was excited because he knew how to read. So he stood there before the prophet and started reading words out of the Torah. And like you brothers are doing on the internet with kafirs, he started reading verses and saying, oh, doesn't this sound like the Quran? Oh, prophet, listen to this. Doesn't this sound like the Quran? And the prophet got angry and he walked away. But Umar didn't catch the hint. He continued to follow the prophet, reciting this, listen at this, listen at this. Then finally the prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, stopped and he looked at Umar. He said, Umar, don't you know that even if Moses were here today, he would have no choice but to follow me and my sunnah, what I have come with. And he told him that book that you're reading was replaced. And he quoted those verses of the Quran where Allah says that he replaced the Quran, replaced everything that came before it. And that's when the prophet said, and he recited how Allah says, whatever good was in those other books is in the Quran. The prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam told Umar, he said, you don't know what you're reading, if it's true or not. You know, he said, so Umar threw the book down, and Umar never in his life picked up another book other than the Quran. You know, but what would they say if they were living today and saw these brothers on the internet doing, or on the street, what is it called? Street corner dawah, which is another innovation. This ain't the companions didn't do street corner dawah either. See, all these innovations, all these practices of the kafir that we introduced into Islam. Remember, the prophet said we will imitate them to the point where we will follow them into a hole. You got Muslims knocking on doors like Jehovah's Witnesses, passing out pamphlets. Can I come in your house and talk to you for a minute about Islam? Imitating the Jehovah's Witnesses. And then you got these other Muslims, you know, who call themselves men and women upon the sunnah, astaghfirullah, and they're so far away from it, it ain't funny. Sitting up, putting boots out on the corner, like nobody knows about Islam. Don't y'all know the whole world knows about us? That's why there's a war against us. The only people that's deluded about us are you, yourselves. Okay? So we got this street corner dawah. Ain't that what they call themselves? These so-called sheikh. I don't know what they sheikhs of, but anyway, these sheikhs, they put their little boots together, passing out Bibles. They got a Bible here. They got a Quran there. They got pamphlets about the Bible and pamphlets about the Quran, how they done went through the Bible and picked certain verses that they think are similar to the Quran so they can debate with the Kafirs. As the Kafirs walk by, they ask them, what's your religion? And come over here, let's talk to you. The same way the Jehovah Witnesses do, the same way the Seventh-day Evangelists do, the same way the LDS do. You Muslims have imitated the Christians like the prophet said y'all would. You do everything just like them, and that's why you got this war. All this innovation. The companions didn't set up booths. And the sad thing is, they didn't have technology back in those days. They didn't have the television. They didn't have the internet. You know, Islam began in a corner of the world in the desert where nothing grows. The desert with Arabia was never a challenge to the Greeks, to the Romans, to the Persians, because it was known as a desolate, ugly land with nothing. Okay, if anyone wanted to set up a booth to pass out pamphlets, it should have been the prophet, but he didn't do that. Okay, here we are in 2023. Everybody on this planet knows about Islam because we're always on the news, and especially since 9/11. That's when the Muslims crawled into their holes and began to try to assimilate with the non-Muslims. We became apologetic. We've lost our identity. We start dressing like them, talking like them, behaving like them, reading their Bibles, trying to explain ourselves and trying to compare Muslim women to a nun, which is an insult to any believing woman to be compared to a pagan woman who is oppressed. How dare you, brothers? Y'all have transgressed so badly, and y'all supposed to be the leaders. That's why we got this war. All this innovation, deviation in the name of Allah. Astaghfirullah. Like I was telling you guys yesterday, it's all about us reestablishing the Muslim identity. You know, everybody needs to turn back to traditional Islam. Start living our lives the way the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam taught us. Try to emulate the behavior of the wives of the Prophet. The wives of the Prophet, I'm doing that series. How many of you follow me and join my classes? I hope you guys see that those women were not laid back, submissive women that lick pus off nobody. The wives of the Prophet, they were loud women like Layla. When they spoke, their voices were like me. Okay? They jihaded. They were on the battlefield with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They had a voice. They spoke out in the public. They spoke out. They spoke out. They spoke out against the transgressions against the law, the transgressions against the Prophet, the transgressions against this religion. Islam liberated women, okay? Gave us rights that no women ever had before. We're equal. We stand right there, right behind the men, not beside them, behind them. And I want you protesting women who don't even cover up to understand, as Muslim women, we stand behind our man, not beside him. And there's a reason for that, because the man is supposed to lead us. Islam gave us rights. We know our place as a woman, just like our men know their place as a man. The man knows that the house is my domain. This is my domain. I run this. I decorate this. I make sure the bills get paid. You just give me the money. You go out. You make the money, bring it to me. I make sure that the bills are paid. This is my domain. The man knows that. And also the man knows, even though this is my domain, he's got checks and balances over me. I have to guard in his absence what he would have me guard, meaning not just his property, not just the children, but also myself. I'm going to make sure that my behavior is liking to him. Okay? So Islam is a check and balance. We got rights. The women are allowed to go out the home. The women, every hadith, when you read these hadiths, the women were right there. When the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam spoke about the signs of the last hour and what would happen, the women were there too. The women would come to the mosque and listen too, but they stood behind the men, not beside them. See, Allah sets boundaries for us. A woman knows her place like a man knows his place. No, I don't lick pus. I don't lick pus off of anyone. And I don't prostrate to no one but Allah. But I got my husband's back, my man's back. I'm right behind him. He's my lead. I'm going to follow his lead. When he pulled his sword, hey, I'm pulling mine too. I got his back. Okay? So we have to get that identity back. We've tried to blend in and become like the non-Muslims. So now Muslim women today forgot their place as women. It's all about going to work. You want to work, make your money. You know, ain't no man gonna tell me what to do. It's about being independent and saying no to your man and all that crap. That's why you women can't keep a husband. Okay, that's not the Muslim woman. The Muslim women were obedient to their husbands. But I want y'all to know their husbands were not oppressive towards them either. When, like I said, when it was time to go out and fight, the women came too. The women weren't sitting at home. They were out there too, fighting for the cause of Allah. If something went wrong, the women would speak out. They would speak out, hey, this ain't right. What did Allah say? The men would listen, okay? They didn't suppress the women. So we need to learn the true Muslim identity. And the only way you guys are going to learn it is by attaching to the true people of knowledge, the true people of knowledge who do know the Sunnah, who do know the hadiths, who can tell you based on what the Prophet said, what's haram, what isn't. One of the things I can't stand is when I see these ignorant men saying that women are supposed to be in the house. We can't talk. Oh, astaghfirullah. Who is this lady? They'll look at a woman like me. Now, by the way, they're not saying that about these other women, these other innovator women. They're these innovating women who do lectures, not like me. My lectures are on this internet behind my hijab, behind my curtain. But I don't see these brothers complaining about these famous women who stand side by side with the men. And they attend your Islamic conferences and they sit next to the men. They eat next to them, and these men are not their mahrams. And they'll shake hands, some of them. Oh, yeah. And they'll stand up in front of an audience of 100 people, and most of them are men, and give lectures. Now, that's total contradiction to our limitations as a woman as to what we can and can't do. I am not violating any laws of Allah. There is no Quranic verse, no hadith on this planet that says a woman's voice is order. There is no Quranic verse, no hadith on this planet that says a woman can't speak publicly. I can show you about 20 to 50 hadiths where the women spoke publicly, especially the wives of the Prophet. They were public speakers too. We can speak, but there's rules we have to abide by as women. I have to have a curtain. A curtain. That curtain is not to block me from being seen so much. It's to block me from being harmed. Do you guys understand that Allah makes the laws and conditions for a reason? It's to keep me from being harmed. I'm in my home. I am not standing up before nobody. All you can see is from this part of me up. You can't see none of my women body parts, not even my breast, because I make sure that camera doesn't go no lower than here. And I'm dressed the way Allah commands me to dress. And I'm beautiful the way Allah commands me to be. Allah says, wear your beautiful attire. He didn't say, oh, you men. He said, oh, you who believe. That's male and female. Wear your beautiful attire to every place of worship. Okay, I ain't going to the mosque. But right now, my office, this is my place of worship. I'm in my place of worship. Teaching this deen is an act of worship too. So I'm right here in my place of worship, doing an action of worship. I am dressed beautifully, not extravagantly. I don't have on no jewelry, but a nose ring, even though I can wear jewelry because it ain't haram. Okay, makeup ain't haram either. Anybody tell you it is, tell them to bring the dalil. Ain't none. But I can bring you about 50 hadiths where the wives of the prophet wore makeup. Okay, what do you think kohl is? That's what I got on. All I got on is what the prophets wives wore. I got on kohl. That's it. Who said kohl is haram? Bring your dalil. Bring it. That's the only makeup lailanasheeba wears. This is it. Hello, this is me, the real McCoy. Okay. This ain't no, what you call that stuff? This ain't no filter. This is how I look. All right. So it really behooves me when I see how ignorant this nation is. You brothers don't have a problem, and you sisters. By the way, the complaints I'm getting are not from men. They're from women. And I know why. It's called jealousy. You women are not complaining about those famous innovator women who are standing up at these conferences. You know, not even dressed properly, most of them. Most of them ain't even dressed properly, shaking hands and bumping behinds and derrieres with those men speakers. Y'all ain't got a problem with them. But you got a problem with me, who is sitting here behind my curtain in my place of worship. This is my place of worship. Okay? My praying niche. Check yourself. You don't know the Muslim identity. We don't know what's lawful. We don't know what's unlawful. We don't know how to dress properly. We don't know how to pray properly. We don't know how to speak. We think that a woman with a loud voice is a sinner when all the wives of the prophet had loud voices. We are some sick people, and we want to know why Allah has sent war. You better learn your deen, sisters. You better stop hopping around from YouTube channel to YouTube channel, listening to these people who don't know the deen tell you garbage, tell you what you want to hear. And you need to start listening to the women like me who's telling the truth. And I ain't the only one. Might be the only one in America, but I ain't the only one. There's a lot of them that's in Arabic. Oh my God, the sisters in Egypt. Oh my God, that we got the sisters in the Emirate. I got some Kuwaiti sisters bringing it home. Y'all think my voice is harsh? Oh, you know, that's the Arabic blood. You know, Arabic women. especially Egyptian women. They known for being loud and very passionate, very emotional. So y'all better get with it and learn your deen. Like I told you, sister, start covering up. How many of you got your hijabs on today? The new shahadas. I'm looking at the screen. Y'all in here? Let me type this too so I can make sure I got them all in there. New shahadas. Can y'all see that? Oh yeah, there they are. I hope you sisters are wearing your hijabs and you're wearing them correctly, like I got on mine to cover your bosom. Allah says that draw your veils over your bosom, not behind your bosom. Okay? You got that abaya on? Put them abayas on. Put them overgarments on. Any color you want. Any type of design. As long as everything is in balance. Everything is in balance. Yeah, put your kohl on. Go ahead. Allah loves beauty. Nothing wrong with that. You got them rough eyebrows like I got? Brush them. Hello? Arabic women. Pakistani women. Middle Eastern women. We got those eyebrows. Hello, hello, and big foreheads. Y'all see my big forehead? I keep it covered up, but I got it too. That Arabic forehead and them eyebrows. Get a toothbrush. Brush them down. It's just hair. Hair can be trained. Yeah, Allah loves beauty. Be proud. You're a Muslim. And pretend that you're like those female companions. Pretend that you're strong, like Salama was, like Aisha radiallahu anha was. Pretend that you're like Hafsa, controlling your anger, controlling your emotions like she learned to do. Okay? As the prophet said, after so much pretending, it becomes a habit, which becomes natural. All right? Okay. So, everybody's in here now, right? I was giving that little introduction while I wait for the people to come in. Okay. Okay, I see you all, but okay, everybody's in here. Okay, mashallah. Okay, so let's get started on our class for today. And also let me remind everybody that at 9 o'clock, yes, we do. Brother Bilal was asking. Okay, let me see. This is on D Live. Okay, mashallah. I got the people here on D Live. And he's asking about the lawful and the unlawful. That's tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And yes, I'm going to talk about that. He's asking about interest. We're going to go over business transactions. That's the topic. I think I put a short out. Yeah, we'll be talking about the lawful and the unlawful in regards to business transactions. And we will talk about interest. And I'm going to tell y'all right now, interest is haram. It's never lawful. The things that Allah make haram are always haram. They're never lawful. But we'll talk more about that in that class, okay? But yes, we will be doing, yeah, we'll talk about that. He's asking me about his job. Okay, save that for the class at 9, because I'm going to go over business transactions, okay? And no, you do not quit your job now. No, keep your job until you find another one, because you haven't been Muslim that long, right? You got a family to take care of. Allah is merciful. Allah doesn't want you to quit your job and you and your wife and children or your wives. He said he got more than one wife. Well, Allah doesn't want you and your wives and children's to starve to death and be homeless. But to make the long answer short, keep your job, brother. But in the meantime, look for another one. You must be an accountant or something. Look for a job that doesn't, where you'll be keeping the books for somebody that doesn't deal with interest. All right? Yeah. Okay, but we'll talk about that at 9. Okay, for this class, we're going to continue speaking about how there are certain things that we do on an everyday basis. Some of us knowingly, some of us unknowingly. Good Lord. Hold on for a second. Every time I start my classes, this is when the people text me. This is Rumble. Why come they can't see in Rumble? Okay, and I'm giving this person a link to the Zoom room. And by the way, the Zoom room is just go to www.Sunnahfollowers.net and it'll bring you, click on join live class. Okay, this person's from Rumble. He wants to join, or she wants to join the Zoom. Okay. All right. So there are certain things that we do every day, some of us knowingly and some of us unknowingly, that will distance us away from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That's al-bara. We're supposed to distance ourselves away from any and everything that opposes Allah's commands or that opposes the Prophet. But unfortunately, guys, Allah is sending us this war because we haven't done that. Just like we lack in our allegiance to Allah, we lack in showing our allegiance to each other and into this religion and to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You know, we've done some things to distance us from our relationship with the Prophet Muhammad. And that's what we're going to talk about today. What are those things that we've done? What are the things we've done that has caused us to distance ourselves from him? And as a result, Allah is angry. And this is why Allah is sending his war, because war comes from him, not Israel. Israel ain't got the power. It just does whatever Allah wills for it to do. Okay, so things that show disassociation from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I want everybody to get your books out. We're still on chapter 12. And I want y'all to follow along. There will be a quiz after this one. So pay attention. Any questions you have, write them down to ask. And the number one thing that impedes upon our allegiance to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is failure to obey him. When we fail to recognize his authority and his authority over us, this is when we distance ourselves from him. And as a result, we violate the true meaning of La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. And this is when Allah will send his punishments. How do we disobey him? How do we fail to recognize his authority? Well, by not adhering to his teachings, by not adhering to his guidance. Again, let's use what's happening today as an example. Did the Prophet protest? I'm going to always throw that protest up because I'm telling you, this is the only time you will hear me give my opinion on something. I really believe protesting is haram. Okay? I know it's an innovation because I'm a historian, and the Romans protested and the Greeks protested in the Dark Ages. The Prophet Muhammad knew about protesting, but he never did that because the evil of it outweighs any good. Okay, number one, it doesn't show allegiance. It doesn't show solidarity to all. It's only showing solidarity to one group because all Muslims are being persecuted. All Muslims. And it's hard because Allah says the believer will be subjected to test and trial. How can we sit there and protest for one without protesting for everybody? So this leads to disparate treatment. Protesting leads to disparate treatment. Okay? So that's why the Prophet didn't protest when the Quraysh were doing what they were doing. Okay? Subhanallah. How can I protest for them and look what's going on with the Abyssinians? Look what's going on with these ones here. We got some over there in Syria. Okay. So again, how did he teach us to handle war? He was at war the whole duration of his prophethood. Are we doing what he did? Are we doing what he told us to do? He told us it begins with you. It begins with you. How Allah is, wait a minute, hold on for 1 second. Somebody at my door. Here we go. Hold on. Okay, n'oubliez pas. C'est mon classe. N'oubliez pas. I'm sorry, guys. Stupid kid is here. Okay. All right. Okay. So again, how did the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam teach us to handle ourselves in times of difficulty such as this? He taught us that it begins with ourselves. Allah is not going to change the condition of a people until we first change the condition of ourselves. The Prophet taught the companions when they were suffering, the ones that couldn't join them from Mecca, the ones they had to leave behind, who were being beaten, killed, starved. The same thing that's going on over there in the Middle East today was going on right there in Mecca. Killed, tortured, starved, no food, no water. The same thing. And the companion said, what about our people back there? You know, the Prophet told him, you got to change the condition of yourself first. Let's develop this Muslim identity. We have to get rid of this tribalism, this nationalism, because some of the new converts were still into that, like a lot of y'all are. There's a lot of people that don't give a darn about what's going on in Africa. Don't give a darn about all they care about is the Middle East. Okay? The Prophet said we got to get rid of that nationalism, that tribalism, and become as one. When one of us hurt, we all feel it. So let's work on uniting each other. He told them the first thing you can do is start spreading the greeting of Assalamu alaikum, because that's a supplication. Okay? Let's fill these masjids up. Let's show the Quraysh. Let's show the Jews. Let's show all the people who are against us that we are one. Our adhan, our call to prayer is different. We have to be different as Muslims. We have to develop an identity that they don't have. Okay? This is what he taught. He said, when the rest of the world look at us and see that even though, you know, we don't have the numbers, we don't have the weapons, we don't have the guns, we got one thing they don't got, and that's Allah. We're going to pray. We're going to pray for those Muslims that's in Mecca. And in the meantime, we're going to help them by showing solidarity here and becoming as one. We're going to dress the part. We're going to pray the part. We're going to be the part. That's what he taught, guys. And from those Arabs changing the condition of themselves, away from tribalism, away from nationalism, away from racism, away from all that corruption, killing and holding grudges and vengeance is mine. That's when Allah started changing things for them all. Okay? So, are we doing that today? Oh, no. Like I told you guys, the people ain't know what the hadiths are. People ain't a lot of people listen to my class and be like, I never heard that before. So she must be making it up. Everything I'm teaching is straight from out of Bukhari and Muslim. Subhanallah. Even the hadith I just gave y'all. You can find that in Bukhari. Subhanallah. How he said, spread the love, how it all begins here. This is all Bukhari. But see, this is foreign. We're into fatwa. and to what our famous celebrity scholars say. Okay, so whenever we fail to recognize the authority of the prophet, whenever we fail to adhere to his teachings and guidance, this is disobeying him. Okay, and by disobeying him and disregarding him, this is why we have no love for him. And this is why we end up bringing about what we have today. This war, this hatred, this no respect, and this no fear of Muslims. Because everything the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam told us came from Allah. This is what made him different than your famous celebrity scholars of today. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was inspired by Allah. These men and women today are inspired by God knows who, probably Shaitan. Especially if they telling y'all to do something that Allah didn't say do, like y'all reading the Bible. We don't read the Bible. It don't exist. You don't need it. Allah said it's gone. It's destroyed. All you need is the Quran. So what were you doing reading the Bibles all these years? Y'all been reading the Bible and arguing with kafirs. You didn't adhere to the teachings and the guidance of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Also, another way that we distance ourselves from our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and in turn bring about the wrath of Allah on us, is we ignore his legacy. How do we ignore it? By not studying about him, not learning about him. Like I said, instead of learning the hadith, you've been learning Islam Q&A. Islam Q&A is one of the most famous websites on the planet. You want to learn about Islam, what do people do? They go to Islam Q&A. That ain't even a place of learning. It's just a fatwa, a place of verdicts. How many of you studied and appreciate the life of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam? How many of you know about him? How many of you know what struggles he went through? How many of you know who his wives were? A lot of you didn't know he had a sister. When I told y'all the hadith of the day about his sister Shema, y'all didn't even know that. Didn't know he had stepchildren. Didn't know he had grandkids. You didn't know anything about the wives. If the women weren't sitting in the house cooking and making babies while the men were fighting, they were out there too. You didn't know that Salama was his war counsel. Subhanallah. You know, by neglecting to study about him and appreciate his life and teachings, you know, you have no love for him. You love the celebrity scholars you follow. Y'all love these men and women of today, but you have no love for our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Listen to what Allah says in the interpretation, the meaning. Certainly there is for you the greatest example in the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Instead of following his example, you've been following what these men and women say. Did the Prophet Muhammad speak softly? Do y'all know how he used to speak? Do you even know how he looked? The Prophet Muhammad didn't have a soft voice. None of the prophets did. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam had a very loud voice. Loud. And his voice was hoarse. And they say he could move his voice to put the fear of Allah in your heart. And then he can calm it down, the treble down, to make you cry. Speaking is an art. You have to know how to go up and down to put the fear, the hope, the love in. He was not no soft-spoken man like a lot of y'all think. Okay? You don't know anything about him. You don't even know what his favorite color was. What was his favorite color? What was his favorite food to eat? Can y'all answer any of that? Who was the love of his life? It ain't who you thought it was. Many of you were shocked to find out that Aisha was not the love of his life. The love of his life was Khadija, radiallahu anha. And why? How many of y'all thought that she took care of him? The Prophet Muhammad never pimped off of his wives. He took care of all his wives, even though they all came from wealthy families. How many of you knew that? You didn't even know. You don't know the basics about him. How tall was he? How big were his feet? All that's given in the hadiths. What color was he? What type of hair did he have? How long was it? How was his beard? How did his eyes look? Y'all don't know this stuff, most of you. Subhanallah. Who was his best friend? Who was his favorite child? Who was his favorite grandchild? Who was his favorite stepchild? So again, by us neglecting to learn about him, how did he treat his wives? How did he treat his children? How was he with Abu Bakr compared to Umar? What type of relationship did he have with the children? How was his relationship with women? SubhanAllah. How did he approach seizure? What relationship did he have with the ruler of the Roman army? Do y'all know that? Okay. So because we failed to learn about him, and by the way, how many of you knew he had anxiety? The Prophet Muhammad suffered with anxiety like most intelligent people do. He had anxiety. What were the three things that made him most anxious? How many of you know? Can't answer, can you? There were three things that used to prevent him from sleeping sometimes at night because he always worried about those three things. He couldn't get those three things out of his mind. You don't even know. Oh, yeah. And how did he deal with anxiety? How did he deal with his sleeplessness? SubhanAllah. So, because we failed to learn about him, we failed to uphold his legacy, because we don't know anything about his character. We don't know anything about him as a person. This has distanced us from him. We're not living up to his sunnah. We're not following his sunnah. Okay? And this is why Allah sends the war. And again, failure to learn about him leads to a lack of respect. And a lack of respect for him leads to a lack of defense. How do we show respect for the Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam? We talked about that yesterday. The way we show respect for him is to mention that whenever you hear his name mentioned, we say sallallahu alaihi wasallam. How many Muslims do that? Every time y'all hear me say the Prophet, you should say sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Every time you hear me say the messenger of Allah, you should say sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That's the respect that we're supposed to give to him. We don't give that to him. But I hear people sending peace and blessings upon Ibn Taymiyyah all the time. May Allah bless him. One of my best scholars. I'm a student of his, by the way. Okay? But I'm using him as an example. I hear these brothers give lectures and they mention the 4 imams. And they always mention blessings upon them. I hear you guys talk about the 4 imams, or talk about Ibn Taymiyyah or Ibn Qayyim or Ibn Kathir, and y'all always send blessings to them. But I can hear you, when I mention the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam's name, not one of you move your tongue. He's the one you should be respecting over all the others. Okay? And this is why we can't defend him. We don't defend him because we have no respect for him. Listen to what the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said. He said, whoever sends blessings upon me just one time, Allah will bless that person 10 times. You want to know why your life is so bad? Why it seems like nothing good ever happens? Maybe this is one of the reasons why. When is the last time you said sallallahu alaihi wasallam when lailanasheeba mentions the prophet's name? Like just now. Okay? Try sending blessings upon him when you hear his name mentioned and when you mention it. And maybe Allah will cause goodness to come your way. Okay? And we neglect to defend him against the slander, against the derogatory marks. And I ain't talking about what they say about his marriage. All I see Muslims comment on is his marriage to Aisha. And y'all need to sit down because the answers y'all give are ridiculous. Every time you lie on him, that's not defending him. And a lot of you Muslims lie on the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam every day. When you say something is a sunnah and it's not, you're lying on him. When you say that it's a sunnah to take Quran, a verse of the Quran, tear it up, soak it in water and drink it. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam never did nothing like that. He never said anything like that. So you've lied on him. We got to stop calling everything a sunnah. Because when you say it's a sunnah, you're saying it's what the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said or did. He didn't say that garbage. He didn't do that garbage. How many of you say blowing in your hands and wiping over your face after you make salat is a sunnah? Where you've lied on him again. You slandered him. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam never blew in his hands and wiped over his face after making salah. You lied on him. You slandered him. You know, so we lie on the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam all the time. I just heard a new lie 2 days ago. One of the people said that the Muslims are saying you're supposed to blow into a cup of water and drink it. The Prophet Muhammad didn't teach us to blow into a cup of water. It's the opposite. He said, do not blow. We're not supposed to blow into a cup when we drink. My God, I said, they lying on him with that too now? SubhanAllah. So when we fail to defend our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and we lie on him, this is when Allah will send his wrath. This is when he will send his punishment. That's why we got this war happening against Islam, because it ain't just against Palestine. It's against all of us. Okay? Listen to what Allah says in the interpretation of the meaning. Indeed, those who abuse Allah and his messenger, Allah has cursed them in this world and the hereafter and has prepared for them a humiliating punishment. So all you Muslims that lie on the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam with your innovation and your misquoted hadiths, how many of you say it's haram to laugh? The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam didn't say it's haram to laugh. When he says, if you knew what I knew, you'd weep more and laugh less, he's talking about not taking life serious. He used to laugh. Why are you lying on him? Subhanallah. And you lie on his family. How many of y'all say that Aisha walked around with a burqa on? How many of y'all say that the Prophet's wives wore burqas? You're lying on his wives. They didn't wear burqas. They didn't cover their faces like that. They looked like me, and they did this if they wanted to. If they wanted to conceal who they were so as not to be taken as a hostage, they would do this. And this. So you're lying on his wives too. Not only have you lied on him, you're lying on his family. Like Allah says, whenever you abuse him or his messenger, Expect Allah's wrath. Expect his punishment. He's sick of it. I know I am. If I'm sick of hearing all the lies against our prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, against his wives, against the male companions and the females, I know Allah is sick of it. People are crazy. You Muslims today need to get a clue. Get a clue, dude. Okay. Also, another way we distance ourselves from him is by refusing to accept that he was not just a prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but he was also a human being. How many of you say that the prophet was made of light? How many of y'all hear these Sufis say that? The prophet is still alive in his grave, and he didn't die, and he was an angel, all of that crap. Listen to what Allah says in the interpretation of the meaning, so that the people of knowledge may know that he, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, is the truth from his Lord, and believe in him and support him. And also say to them, O Muhammad, I am only a man like you, to whom has been revealed that your God is one. He's a man. He was a man. He was a human being. He was not made of light. He was made of flesh and blood. What's that song? Born, I'm human, flesh and blood, a man. Yeah, that's what he was. He was a man. But he was inspired by Allah. What made him different from you, different from me, is he was the best of mankind. He was better than us in his character, better than us in his thinking, better than us in his behavior, smarter than us. And because of that, Allah made him a prophet over us. And Allah would inspire him. We're not inspired by Allah like that. We can be, but we could be inspired by Shaitan too. That's the difference. He wasn't inspired by his jinn. Okay? So when you fail to accept that he was not just a prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but a man too, this is how you distance yourself from him. And there's too many Muslim groups out there who argue and debate as to whether or not the prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, was human or not. And also another way that we distance ourselves from him is by not respecting his companions. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, the best of people are my generation, and then those who come after them. Subhanallah, I show you the authentic hadith from Sahih Bukhari, where Aisha radiallahu anha, who was not just his companion, but his wife and one of the first scholars of Islam, said that a woman does not break the prayer of a man if she walks in front of him. In fact, nothing, not even another man, breaks your prayer. And then she goes on to say, I was the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam sutra on my menses, and he would pray behind me and touch my thigh. Hadith is authentic. Bukhari. Then you have the hadith of Ibn Abbas. He said, oh, I used to come up on a donkey. Me and my donkey used to walk in front of the people when they were praying. The prophet never said the prayer was broken and never made nobody make it over. That's Ibn Abbas. Also Bukhari. And then you have Ibn Umar. He says, I used to walk in front. The prophet pulled me back. But he did not make the prayer over. I show you all three of these authentic hadiths from the companions of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But instead of you taking those hadiths, you're going to listen to your sheikh. Well, my sheikh said that the hadith of Ibn Masud was checked by Aisha. He was checked by Ibn Abbas. And he was checked by Ibn Umar. All three of them checked him and told him that. They made him recant what he said. But you're not going to take their word over your sheikh, because your sheikh told you that a woman is foul, because your sheikh told you that a woman is so foul that if she walks in front of you, not only is your prayer broke, but your wudu too. Because your sheikh told you that if she on her period and she touch you, you're going to hell too. Subhanallah. This is why Allah has sent war. We have no respect for the wives of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam or any of his companions. Subhanallah. Even though the Prophet Muhammad said they are the best of this nation, nobody on this planet today, not any of your sheikhs, understand this religion better than any of these companions. Aisha runs rings around any human being on this planet today and yesterday. Ibn Taymiyyah didn't understand this religion better than Aisha. Even the four imams didn't know this religion better than her, because they were not of that generation. But instead of you guys listening to what the Prophet said, you're going to take your little male sheikhs of today over somebody like Aisha. Are you out your mind? You're going to take even though Atiyah, this is also Bukhari, even though Atiyah, another eminent companion, said, we Muslim women never wore dark colors. We never, ever, ever, ever wore dark colors unless we were mourning, to show that we were mourning the death of someone. And in that case, we would take off our makeup. She says makeup. And we would remove our perfume during that period. That hadith is also Bukhari. But you don't hear nobody talking about Atiyah's hadith. They went telling women we supposed to be ugly and walk out the door with dark colors on and no makeup and stuff. Because my sheikh said it. Your sheikh don't know nothing compared to Atiyah. Atiyah checks him. Y'all understand that? So we have no love for the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So of course we have no love for his companions either. And we definitely have no love for his family. So this is why. These are all reasons why Allah has sent war. Y'all understand? And this is why when you all come to me and you ask me, Sister Layla, what can we do? I'm not going to tell you to boycott, because I know boycotting is useless. First of all, it would take all Muslims on earth for it to even make a damper, and you know they ain't going to do it. The Prophet Muhammad didn't boycott either. He lived right there with the Jews and didn't boycott them, because he needed the milk. He needed the food. He needed the armor. Why would I hurt myself? I love my Starbucks. Hello. See this? If I stop drinking Starbucks, is that going to change what's happening in Palestine? No. But who's going to suffer? Layla. Because I ain't got no coffee no more. Okay? So we don't boycott. We don't protest. We do like the Prophet said, it starts with yourself. Change the condition of yourself. Put yourself back into the correct identity that you should have been in. Start performing your prayers. Start dressing the way Allah commands. Learn about your religion. Learn what's really haram and what isn't. Learn about him. Learn about his wives. Learn about the struggles those Muslims went through, because there is nothing happening on earth today that they haven't been through. And then handle yourself like they did, with dignity, with balance, with humility, and in solidarity. Get rid of that nationalism, people. That racism. You don't even want an African standing next to you in the prayer line. An African American stands next to you and you an Arab, you're going to move over. A Pakistani stands next to you, and you're a Chinese, you're going to do this. We can't even stand ankle to ankle, shoulder to shoulder to pray together. But you think you're going to change Palestine. You ain't changing nothing. You got to change yourself first. And then Allah will bring victory. But that ain't going to happen. It ain't happening till Jesus come back. So letting y'all know now, it ain't going to happen anyway. But I can tell you this. The Prophet ﷺ did tell us when this war does occur, the people who will be able to deal with it best are those whose faith was founded before it happened. So all you can do right about now, because you ain't going to stop what's happening in Palestine or anywhere else. I'm just letting y'all know. Prophet already told us. It ain't happening. Y'all too weak. It's too late. Should have been working on it all these other centuries. Too late. But you can work on yourself, so that when that rocket comes here to America, you can handle yourself with the same type of dignity that those Palestinians are handling themselves with. They're used to this. They're strong in their iman. They understand the basics. They've been living La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. That's why they handling it. It'll be you all freaking out, going crazy, turning to the Antichrist, running to Biden. Help us. Help us. Putting your little, what they call it, street corner dawah tables up with the Bible, the Torah, and the Quran. Oh my God, ridiculous people. Slandering women like me, who's sitting on the internet speaking behind my curtain. But you running after those other women that's all on the news right now, rubbing butts with the men they with, and all in their beds too. All kind of stuff going on. Y'all love them women, but you hate this one. This one who's obeying her Lord behind her screen in her praying niche. See how twisted we are. All right. Now, to see how well you guys understood this lecture, I'm going to give you a quiz. But today's quiz is going to be pretty short. It's just a couple of questions. And these questions involve thinking. Let's look at the questions. Okay. Y'all ready for it? Bam. What are some things that we can do individually to strengthen our personal allegiance to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam? What are some things that we can do individually to better our relationship with our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Go ahead. Anybody?
Assalamu alaikum. I'm gonna say the some things that we can do to strengthen our allegiance to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is by learning about him and follow his sunnah.
MashaAllah. Great start. Exactly. It's not too late. I want y'all to remember, I want to give you some hope. I need to put the fear Like I tell you guys, I know I'm a loud speaker. I'm a public speaker. I'm sorry, guys. I can't help it. They made me learn this stuff when I was in school. Plus my mother. I come from a family of public speakers. Y'all think my voice loud? You should hear my mom. Hello. So, but I don't want y'all to think that I'm attacking. I'm not attacking anyone. But I do want to give y'all the hope now to bring it down. Okay. The law tells us that it's never too late. It's never too late to change the condition of yourself until the soul reaches your throat. So we have until the angel of death pulls our soul to change. So I don't want you guys to feel like it's too late. We can start changing now. That's why y'all here. That's why Allah guided you here to listen to me. We're going to change now. We're going to change the condition of ourselves and bring it back to the true traditional Islam now. And by doing that, that's how we're helping all the Muslims. By standing together as one, the traditional Muslims that we're supposed to be, not the progressive ones. We're not progressive Muslims. We're traditional. That's the only type of Muslim. Okay, so, start learning about the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam now. Start learning about his companions now. Take his wives as your role models now. Pretend that you are them, and it'll become natural now. So good job. That's one of the ways that we can individually work to better our relationship and our allegiance to the Prophet. What's another thing we can do? Anyone else?
Start with the basics, and that's dressing the way you're supposed to, just obeying Allah's laws and the way you're supposed to dress. Start identifying yourself as a Muslim when you walk out that front door. People don't know there's people that are Muslim, you would never know they were a Muslim because they're not abiding by the basic way of dress.
Exactly, guys. That's why I'm emphasizing this to you sisters. That's why I'm emphasizing you women have to put those hijabs on, man. What are y'all afraid of? What are you ashamed of? You guys say y'all like the way I look. I mean, come on. You can look the same way. We're more beautiful this way. I think I look better with my hijab on. When I take my hijab off, I look like a wolf ready to tackle somebody down. Okay? But this way I look more dignified and everything. When the scarf is off, that's another story. That's supposed to be you and your husband. Hello? And I want you sisters to think about that. With your hair and stuff out, that's bedroom talk. That's for the bedroom, for you and your husband. Okay, learn to look at it like that. That's how I've always looked at it. Without the hijab, that's bedroom talk. With my hijab, this is business. This is how the rest of the world should view me. Oh, I'm going to be tough. I'm going to be strong. I'm going to appear that way anyway. But when I get home and take off this, it's bedtime. Hello, where you at, sweetheart? Here comes the wolf. Here comes the tiger. Let her out. Oh. That's how I want you women to think. You new shahadas. Because that's what it's supposed to be about. It makes sense. Your beauty, all that hair and breast and baby got back, base. That's for your husband. Show him what a tiger you are. But the rest of the world don't have to see that. The rest of the world shouldn't see that. The rest of the world should see intelligence, dignity, humility, and balance. Beauty too, but a different type of beauty. They should see your inner beauty. Okay? Your husband is seeing that outer stuff, but the rest of the world is getting ready to see how I really am. This is my beautiful character, my beautiful behavior, my expressionless eyes. Oh yeah, I'm beautiful and don't have to show that skin. But when you go home, you got it, women? They laugh. Ifty, they laughing in here. Sisters on Trover. Yeah, like, yeah. Oh, yeah, like she said, I'm right. That's what that should be for your husband. Let him see the tiger. Let the rest of the world see the warrior, the lioness of Allah. What was Salama? Bethany. What was Salama? That's right. Let the rest of the world, especially in this day and age, what's going on now, let the rest of the world see the lioness of Allah. And a lion is beautiful to look at, but it's also deadly. Okay? Beautiful to look at, but you're not going to touch its soul. Okay? But when you get home, you like that? Bethany says she got to learn my growl. See, I tell y'all, I got a tough voice, but I'm not as mean. Don't I tell y'all, my voice may be loud, but I'm really just a silly little kid. I'm a kid at heart. Yeah, I write books, vampires and all that stuff. I'm trying to finish my book, man, because I got a good idea about a vampire and a swordswoman that I really want to put in print, but I can't because it's website. Okay. All right, let's look at the next question. Oh, any other things we can do? Let's go. Yeah, some more. What else can we do to strengthen our personal relationship with the Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam?
The one thing that we can do, and which I had kind of forgotten about until you gave us the reminder, is giving blessings upon him. You know, that's one of the things that it's just that I had kind of forgotten about. When you say it, that I should be saying sallallahu alaihi wasallam after mentioning the Prophet, and also to defend his honor. You know, don't let anybody just say anything about the Prophet. You know, defend him. You know, to show that he's a person that deserves respect.
Exactly. MashaAllah, guys. And that's what I want you all to do and teach to the kids. Teach them to say sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And I'm going to tell y'all, when a person comes to you and tells you that something is a sunnah, call them out on it. Tell them, can you show me the dalil? Can you show me where the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that it's haram to take medicine? That instead of taking medicine, we're supposed to dip it in water? Call the people out, because that's a good way of also advising your Muslim brother and sister. Because when they come and tell you something that he said that he didn't really say, and you tell them to go find the proof, they're going to have to go dig through their book of tricks or whatever to pull it out, and they'll realize that it doesn't exist. And maybe if they truly believe in Allah, they'll say, wow, I was wrong. That ain't true. He didn't say that. So call the people out when they come telling you what's a sunnah. Is it a sunnah to not take medicine? Oh my God, there's about 20 hadiths, guys, in Bukhari where the Prophet talked about taking medicine. There's about 10 in Muslim where he speaks about the virtues of taking medicine and where medicine come from. There's about 10 in Muwatta too. So maybe when they start digging, trying to get their dalil together, they'll realize what an idiot they were, and they'll repent for lying on the Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Good job, Atifa. Okay, what else can we do? Anybody else? Any other suggestions?
You have some answers on YouTube.
Yeah, go ahead, read them for me.
We can try to imitate him by doing the voluntary deeds like fasting on Monday and Thursday. That's by Sister Mina.
Oh, mashallah, that's a great answer. Exactly. You know, try to emulate him. Do the things that he did. He used to fast every Monday and Thursday. So this will help us to develop a love and a closeness and an affection for him. You know, start doing voluntary things. He used to pray the witr prayer. The Prophet sallallahu, even though the witr prayer is not, and I repeat, it's not obligatory for us. despite what some Sufis tell you. It is not obligatory. And I got a bunch of sisters here from Morocco. Let me look at this here. You sisters in Morocco. Okay. Oh, y'all can't. I'm trying to hold on. Let me switch back to that. You sisters in Morocco, the witr prayer is not, I repeat, it is not, I repeat, it is not an obligation. And I know Morocco has a lot of Sufi beliefs. Where's my dalil? Okay, here's the dalil. A Bedouin converted to Islam, and he came to the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam. He said, "O Prophet of Allah, tell me what is expected of me in regards to the prayer." The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, "You only have to pray Fajr, Dhuhr, Asr, Maghrib, and Isha." The man said, "Are there any other prayers required of me?" The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "No, unless you want to do voluntary prayers." And the man walked away and said, "I'll do those 5 prayers and stick to them till I die." And the Prophet said, if he does, he'll be a believer. That hadith is authentic. That the source, you ready for it, Morocco? The source, Bukhari. So witr prayer is not an obligation. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to do it all the time, but it was not for us to do all the time. But it's something that we can do. There's a lot of blessings in performing the witr, okay? And we do it, as a way of showing our love for the Prophet and also for the reward that the witr brings, if you do it on a regular, consistent basis, okay? Yeah, so it's not an obligation. So don't tell the new shahadas that, because I got some of the Moroccan women telling them that they got to pray with her. No, they don't. Don't make the religion hard by imposing conditions upon the people that Allah did not impose. And I know it's a lot of Sufism where y'all come from, but that ain't so. We follow what the Prophet said here. Sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Okay. Any other answers? Any other things we can do? Go ahead.
Sister
Did
Pamela also.
Did someone say learning about the Prophet as much as possible, like what he would do on his day-to-day basis, learning about his struggles, like what made the Prophet Muhammad, like learning about him on like a personal level, like what he liked, what he disliked.
Exactly. Good. Exactly. Yeah. That's what Latifah said. Learning about him, learning his likes, learning his dislikes, learning how he lived his everyday life, learning how he treated his wives, how every day at the time of Asr. Now, one of the brothers that I got an email a week ago from one of the brothers from YouTube who I don't know. He says, "Sister Layla, I've been following your classes," and he's a polygamy. He said, "I got 3 wives." He said, "And I really enjoyed how you shared with us." He said, "Because now I'm doing it every day after Asr." After Asr, did y'all know the Prophet would go to visit each wife just to see if they needed anything? He'd do the Asr prayer if they weren't fighting. If they were not in the war, fighting against the Quraysh or the Jews, he would make the Asr prayer. Then he would go home and start with the oldest wife and work his way down. He'd go to Sauda first and say, "Sauda, how you doing?" He did it by age, so that way, they wouldn't accuse him of favoritism, because all his wives had to feel loved. He would start with Sauda. "How are you? Do you need anything? Do the kids need anything?" Because the kids were always at her house. And then he'd go knock on the next wife's door. "How you doing? How's everything going, sweetie?" Then he'd knock on the next wife's door. Then he'd knock on the next. He'd visit each wife just to see if they needed anything after Asr. And then after Isha, every day after Isha, he would perform the prayer at Isha, and all his wives would meet at the house of whoever's turn it was. They would all be gathered there, and he'd come in and give a little speech to them all to see if everything's okay. And then he'd say goodnight to them all. They all would leave except the one whose house he was at, whose turn it was. How many of you men knew that that's how the prophet did every night? That's why he said make all his wives feel special and included. Well, that brother came to my class and learned that. And those hadiths are from Bukhari and Muslim. I try to give y'all Bukhari and Muslim hadiths because even though I know the other hadiths too, because I know all the sitta by heart, okay, but I got to cover me. It takes a fool to try to challenge me when I'm sticking with the most two authentics, okay? You're going to look like a fool coming at me, all right? So that brother told me when he learned that, he said, Sister Layla, that's what I do now. He said, and my wives like it. He said, by the prophet checking on them every day, he said, what he does is he checks on them when he gets off from work. He said, what I do now, Layla, is when I get off work at 6 o'clock, I'll go by all the wives' house and check on them to see how they're doing. And I'll save whoever's turn it is for last. Now, isn't that nice? That's what this brother said he does. He said, I get off work at 6 and I do it in order of age. He said, I'll go to the oldest woman's house, just stay for about 30 minutes just to see if her and the kids need anything. Then I'll leave and go to the next wife's house, 30 minutes. And then he said, I go home to whoever's house it is, whoever's turn it is that night. He said, and my wives love it because that way they all get to see me and I get to give them their needs for the children. He said the Prophet Muhammad did things a certain way, but it brought about equity, he said. My wives are happy because they all get to see me every day. He said, because before he was just going to whoever's turn it was. See that? The beauty of learning about the Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Okay, any other answers?
Yeah, Sister Pamela says, give the greeting, change our condition about ourselves, and make dua for the Muslims.
Exactly, giving the greeting to all the other Muslims. You know, making dua for not just ourselves and not just Palestine, but for all the believers, like the Prophet said. Anytime you make dua for every believer on earth, Allah will give you a reward for every believer. SubhanAllah. Okay, so mashallah, these are some very good answers. You know, if we start doing just these little basic things, that'll help to develop our relationship and with Allah and our love for the Prophet Muhammad, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and you will see your character changing. Just like that brother that emailed me. He said his marriage ain't never been this happy. He'd been doing polygamy for years and it was trauma. Everybody complaining about time. He said, but now by him following that sunnah, the example of the Prophet, by when he get off work, go check on each wife, 30 minutes with each one, then go to the last one's house. He said everybody's happy because they all get to see him. He can see what kids need what, who needs money, who needs food. He said, Layla, he said, it's just heaven now. SubhanAllah. Glad I could be of help, brother. I can't get no man. All right. Tell y'all, I'd make a good wife, but I can't never find no man that's worthy of being my husband. They all scared of me. Every man is scared of me. They think Layla gonna beat them up or something when I'm a good woman. All right, let's look at the next question. Yeah. And this is the next question, guys. What are some things that we can do together to show our love and allegiance to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Now, what can we do together or as a group that will show our allegiance and better our relationship to the Prophet? Can y'all think of some of that for that answer? Oh, that looks bad on the screen. Should have made.
Brother Ahmad answered this would be great with this question. He said, following the sunnah of the Prophet instead of people's opinion.
MashaAllah, number one answer. Let me make it black so y'all can, there it is. Good job. Number one answer. Following the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam's example instead of following the example of your sheikh or your family, your tribe. Okay, good job. What happened to it? Oh, there it is. So one of the things we can do together, all of us together, can bring back the sunnah. Like we said, dressing apart, going to the mosque to pray together and stuff. We do, well, the one thing, we do show unity during the month of Ramadan, but we need to show unity other times of the years too, by packing that masjid for all 5 prayers like the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said. That shows unity every day. Good job. What are some more things we can do together to bring back our love and allegiance to our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam? What about pit protesting? Is that showing allegiance to the Prophet Muhammad? What are some things we can do together to show our allegiance to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam?
The brothers need to go back to the mosques. The mosques are empty.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah. You know, y'all need to be at the masjid, brothers. Okay. What else? What's some more? Y'all can't think of nothing to do together. This shows how disunited we are, how we have distanced ourselves. We got all these interfaith committees. Y'all ain't got a problem meeting on a regular basis with the kafir to talk about how the Bible, Jesus love me. Yeah, I know. Call the Bible. Told me so. Y'all ain't got a problem with that. But we can't think of nothing to do together.
I was going to say we already do it by coming to class, learning about it. We already doing it.
There you go. You guys are doing it. You guys are doing it by coming to my classes every day. That's why I got this Zoom room open. This Zoom room is open 24 hours because we can come here and share with each other what's going on in our lives that we need support with, help with, you know, by getting closer as a nation, doing things together as a nation. Let's see, what else? Studying together. Good job. Involving the children in our study groups. Okay? Giving in charity together as a group. A lot of y'all are doing that at your masjids. Y'all have those donation days like Fresno has. What's they call them, Mina? Y'all got the day that you give out to the homeless. Doing charity together like that as a group effort. That brings about allegiance to each other and love for the Prophet, because the Prophet used to give in charity. He used to help people. He encouraged the companions, you know, to work together and help those who are in need. Okay, what else? Sit down with the family. Teach them about the Prophet. Teach them about Allah. That's something that we can do as a group. We can learn about the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam together. It all begins in the family. And then from the family to the community. Our communities, we can hold classes in our communities about the virtues of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and his companions, instead of all this interfaith and Bible crap that's going on. Anything else?
We can also visit the sick and shut-in Muslims, the ones that cannot get out.
Now that's really good. There's a lot of sickly, especially women. One of the signs of the last hour is not just the war, but the prophet told us right before the war happens, what will happen with the women? And we're already there. We've been there. Before the war takes place, what will happen in regards to women? The women will outnumber the men to the point where one man will be responsible for 50 women. Do you know how many single women are in these masjids? You got one imam responsible for 50 single women in his community. Okay? You got a person like Brother Ahmad responsible for his mother, his sisters, his nieces, his cousins. I'm giving examples. So we're already there. So there's a lot of women who are single. Look at my website, my Zoom room. Most of the women in my Zoom room are elderly women who are single. They don't have anyone to help them. They have no family. They have no husbands. You know, I can throw myself in there. I'm an old woman too. Look at Layla, an old woman. I'm an old woman. Allah may have kept the looks there. Alhamdulillah. Thank you, Allah. But Layla's an old woman. I ain't got a problem telling y'all. I got one foot in the grave and the other one is half down. Hello. I ain't like Fresno. I don't have a problem admitting I'm an old woman. Who checks on me? Let's just get real. Ramadan. Anybody think to call Sister Layla? Any of the masjids where I live think to go check on Layla to see if Layla needs some food? Maybe Layla needs some, what you call it, itikaf, or maybe what you call that stuff. Maybe Layla needs some lamb and rice. Let's take her a plate. We heard Layla had surgery a year or two ago. Let's check on her knee. Okay? Maybe she needs some help taking her garbage out. You know she by herself. Let's see how her anxiety doing. We need to check on our shut-in Muslims. Check on our single women. Check on the women with children. That sister's working and got 3 kids. Why don't we arrange one of the young girls at the mosque to go babysit for her for a few hours so she can go watch a movie or something to get a break? Okay? Or let's give her some money so she ain't got to work overtime for one day so she could be home with her kids. We need to do things like that to help each other, because this is what the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam did. I'm going to tell y'all something else. Whenever a person got sick, whenever a Muslim became sick, the Prophet would have his wives, one of his wives, cook a pot of soup and take it to him. That's a sunnah. You want to talk about a sunnah? You hear that there's a sick sister or a sick brother in your community. Cook a pot of soup. Who doesn't like chicken noodle soup? Even me, lailanasheeba. I can't cook. Y'all know I burn up. I love to cook. But everything I cook, it gets burnt up. But I don't burn my chicken noodle. I can make the best homemade chicken noodle soup that'll make you go, woo. You know, when's the last time we made a pot of chicken noodle soup and took it to some brother or sister who's sick in the community? This is what the Prophet would do, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. What else? Let's see. Yeah, that's right. Visit the sick, feed the poor. Any other answers?
We can also give gifts to each other.
Yeah, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, you want to know how to instill love between you? Spread the greeting and give gifts to one another. Spread the greeting of assalamu alaikum and give gifts to each other. That'll take away all that suspicion, that jealousy that we women suffer with. You know, It'll make us more relaxed with one another. And this is a sunnah. It's something the Prophet encouraged. Subhanallah. Any other answers?
What about dealing with children the way the Prophet Muhammad SAW dealt with them? Like example, if they like how to deal with them if they stole something or if they lied, or even how to be just with all of them.
Exactly. Treat our children the way the Prophet ﷺ treated his. If one of the children lied or was dishonest, the Prophet didn't spank them. He would tell the wives and everybody else, all the other kids, we're going to ignore her. We're going to not talk to, we're going to ignore this kid until the kid admits, because he knew that children don't like to be ignored. They'll own up to what they did if nobody speaks to him. So let's implement the way he even disciplined his children into our lives. Let's implement the way he treated his wives into our lives. You know, go visit them. Go check on each one after Asr like he did. And then let the one whose night it is be the last one. That way every wife feels special. Every wife feels included. Every wife feels concerned that you care about her. Nobody likes to be ghosted. Subhanallah. So easy. If we were, I hope you guys can see, if we had been living in accordance to the sunnah all this time, what's going on over there wouldn't be happening. But unfortunately, this is what happens when we deviate away from the Quran and the Sunnah and instead adapt the rules and fatwas of our so-called scholars over those companions and the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Okay, mashallah. We're going to stop right here. Subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. You guys did pretty good on this quiz, and I'm really trying not to I'm trying to take what's happening in the world today and give you the means of dealing with it the way the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam would deal with it, you know, in a calm, rational way instead of this anger and emotion. Everybody understand that? Because we have a lot of hypocrites out there. You know, the awliya of shaitan outnumber the awliya of Allah. And whenever we Muslims stand together and try to do things in accordance to how the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam taught us, we're going to meet opposition. That's how it goes, like this one here. Not censor you. I haven't censored you, Mr. Sam Abdullah. Okay? But if we start behaving ourselves with the way the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam did, then we wouldn't end up getting censored, Mr. Sam. Sam I am. And y'all see why I have to be tough too? This is another one reason why I got to be tough on this internet, because I got to deal with jokers like Sam I am. And I will always censor you on YouTube as long as you come into my YouTube channel and make yourself get censored. When you make yourself get censored, this is what happens. And now I'm getting ready to do more than censor you. I'm getting ready to block you. Hello, now you're done. Okay, any questions or comments? All right, 9 o'clock. Tonight, we have the lawful and the unlawful. And we're going to be speaking about business transactions. Let me show y'all a clip of what's we're going to be talking about. Here it is. I just love those sounds, you know. Yeah, so we're going to talk about business transactions tonight. The lawful and the unlawful. And I'll answer your questions. Well, I won't answer the hadiths. We'll go over the hadiths that speak about lawful and unlawful business transactions. Okay? And I don't know why this brother was so concerned about being censored, me censoring him when he don't want to listen to me. You don't want to listen to me, then get up out of here. You know, well, we're just ignorant. People just ignorant, man. How do I take him off? Yeah, there it is. Yeah, there he is. Okay, guys, I'm going to close out for right now because I got to make salat. Inshallah, we'll be back at 9 p.m. We'll be back at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is 1 hour. And we'll go over the lawful and the unlawful in regards to our business transactions. I'll have the PowerPoint there so y'all can see the hadiths, the evidence. Because whenever we speak about what's haram, we have to give dalil. If anybody tells you that something is haram, they have to give the clear evidence from the Quran or the hadith, not a fatwa. Just like if anyone ever tells you that you have to do something, they have to give you the clear evidence from the Quran or the hadith, not a fatwa. So inshallah, I'll be back in 1 hour. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika.